A noose is found at a construction site for former President Barack Obama's presidential center. The media once again are spinning inflation, calling it disinflation, and California Sheriff's Office is stopping all daytime patrols due to a staffing shortage. All of that and more here on The Bald Brad Show. Welcome to The Bald Brad Show. It is Monday, November 14th, and as always, support the show by hitting that like and subscribe button, as well as leaving your opinions in the comment section below regarding anything that we cover in today's episode. Your help and support would be greatly appreciated. With that being said, our lead story of the day is quite a doozy, folks, because a noose was found at the Obama Presidential Center site, that's a tongue twister, in Chicago late last week, after which the outfit building, the $830 million center, immediately halted construction and said it's holding an anti-bias training for staff and workers. So this has the Democrat Party, the progressive left, flailing their arms, shouting racist, racism, hate crime, all these things, regardless of the fact that the Chicago Police Department is still conducting their investigation and zero details have been released. It's not going to stop them from doing all that. Nor is it going to stop Lakeside Alliance from forcing all their workers, regardless of whether they were on site, regardless of the fact they're biased, regardless of the fact of the facts, regardless of the fact if they're racist or not, they all have to sit through an anti-bias training because that's how these corporations work. I don't like racism, but does anybody think that if a racist actually sat through a PowerPoint here and maybe some video clips of an anti-bias training that they're going to sit there and go, you know what, I've been a racist for 45 plus years. Yep, hate this race entirely. This PowerPoint and video clip really changed my worldview. Wow, you really got me. This one's good. Do you really think that anybody's going to change their mind? You're penalizing everybody else that did absolutely nothing to sit through one of these trainings. It's a bunch of hogwash, folks. But again, this took place in Chicago. Okay, this took place in Illinois, where there have been some hoaxes like Jussie Smollett, which, as you can imagine, got some notable conservatives a little bit skeptical of what took place and the noose itself. We'll get there, though, folks. We'll get there just one moment because we got to look at the details of all of it. Lakeside Alliance, which is in charge of the center's construction, announced the discovery of the noose, but the circumstances of the discovery obviously weren't clear, according to Chicago Sun-Times. The paper added that the Chicago police said they were investigating the incident, but didn't release any of the details. This prompted Lakeside Alliance to put out a statement saying, "We are horrified that this would occur on our site and offering a $100,000 reward to help find the individual or individuals responsible for the shameful act. Regardless of the evidence that's come out, regardless of the details that have or have not come out, they're just going to offer up a $100,000 reward." As you could imagine, this has prompted Democrats like the Illinois governor to come out and pounce on this whole racism thing by saying the noose is more than a symbol of racism. It is a heart-stopping reminder of the violence and terror inflicted on Black Americans for centuries. I condemn this act of hate in the strongest possible terms, and the state of Illinois will make all needed resources available to help catch the perpetrators. Maybe there were no perpetrators. Maybe it was just a rope that was there to supply construction workers with some help. Who knows? Again, the details have not come out, but they're going to just hop on this racism train, this hate crime train, which they did again under Jussie Smollett. As you can imagine, Democrat Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot just had to step into the mix a little bit and add, the discovery is disturbing, and added that racism and racist symbols have no place in Chicago, and those inflicting it will be held responsible for this repulsive act. You don't even know if anybody was involved in it, lady, but you're going to step and add your 2 cents in, which nobody asked for. So we should just back up just one moment, because a number of prominent conservatives aren't so sure the noose is legit. Matt Walsh of the Daily Wire sarcastically tweeted that it's definitely a hate crime. I can't imagine any other reason why a rope would be on a construction site. Also, this is Chicago. It's not a place known for hate crime or hoaxes at all. Obviously, Walsh is referring to Jussie Smollett hoax in which the actor and singer staged a fake hate crime, which I'm sure you're all aware of, against himself, falsely claiming that supporters of then President Donald Trump physically attacked him near his apartment in Chicago in the middle of the night, which I'm sure you're all aware of. But once police finished their investigation, they found the Jussie Smollett story was a hoax, and he was found guilty of 5 of 6 counts of felony disorderly conduct. Well, this took to Twitter. You had Towns Hall Scott Moorfield saying, "I'll take hate crime hoaxes for $3,500, Alex," quoting Jeopardy. Another person said, "I'm guessing this is hashtag fake news." This comes from Dinesh D'Souza. And a Fox News contributor said, "Sure." Adding to this, the Obama administration, specifically the Obama Foundation rather, had some words for the Noose discovery as well. The Sun-Times reported that it called the incident shameless and that the act of cowardice and hate is designed to get attention and divide us. Our priority is protecting the health and safety of our workforce. While the Obama Foundation said the operations construction of the site, the Obama Presidential Center, will be entirely funded by private donations, the former commander-in-chief appeared to offer a different spin on who's behind it all during last year's groundbreaking. Quote, "It feels natural for Michelle and me to want to get back to Chicago, and the South Side in particular. Then why don't you live there, man? Why'd you move to this wealthy place? Why don't you live just right in the mix of all of Chicago where all the crime is going on?" We all know why. We'll always be grateful for that. And the Obama Presidential Center is a way for us repaying some of what this amazing city has given us. And we're also building the center because we believe it can speak to the struggles of our time. Struggles, you're building an $830 million center, man. A little bit of waste of money, I would imagine. But as you can recall, this is kind of possibly that same old story once again. So apart from the Jussie Smollett scandal, the Blaze Media specifically, has reported time and time again about numerous other hoaxes in recent years. Here are apparent misunderstandings, shall we say, that involve some supposed nooses, rather. So in October 2021, a Connecticut school district superintendent railed against a noose found in school restroom as a breach of the district's values, but it turns out a student attempting self-harm credited it. Also in 2021, triggered onlookers demanded that a noose be taken down at a Central Connecticut State University construction site, even though it was a steel cable loop attached to a crane. You also have in 2020, NASCAR driver Bubba Wallace went ballistic over what he maintained was a noose in the Talladega Super Speedway garage, except the FBI concluded that it was a door pull rope fashioned like a noose, and it had been in the garage since October. And if you even saw the picture, I mean, the thing was tiny. Ain't nobody getting hung from that thing, okay? Also in 2020, the New York governor, Andrew Cuomo, said he was disgusted by the recent discovery of a noose, the hatred and evil icon of our nation's racist past in Harlem's Marcus Garvey Park. But the NYPD's Hate Crimes Task Force soon said it was left over from a construction scaffold that was removed in the fall. The rope was used to hoist construction materials. It just goes on and on and on, folks. But again, this is what Democrats do. They pounce on this stuff, similar to what Barack Obama did, similar to what Eric Holder's done, similar to what Mayor Lori Lightfoot is doing, similar to what Joe Biden's done, Karine Jean-Pierre, Jen Psaki, all this stuff. They just pounce on this rather than just waiting for all the evidence. If it is a hate crime, that is extremely bad. I don't have an opinion on it yet. I'm waiting for the evidence to come out, the details, to decide what actually took place before you start forcing staff and workers to go through bias training, before you start putting out all these statements, offering a $100,000 reward, before you offer these statements as a politician. Wait for the evidence to come out before you make a clear judgment. But again, this is so typical of Democrats. This is so typical of what they do. They try to spin stories. They try to push false narratives, which brings us into our second story of the day of pushing false narratives, spinning stories from Democrats. If you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button. It really does help the channel, and it also causes new viewers to see our support from you guys in terms of sending our video out there to new viewers. Well, a new reporter claims that disinflation is happening. They just won't stop with it. It's so reminiscent of when the Biden administration tried to spin what a recession was and saying that it wasn't a recession, saying that we've had 0% inflation. It's just a vicious circle here. Well, this comes from the Associated Press reporter Chris Rugaberg, I believe is how you say his last name, excluded the price of shelter, a metric that is included in the Bureau of Labor Statistics calculation of core inflation. So this is his actual tweet here, folks. There's finally some disinflation happening. One key metric, prices excluding food, energy, and shelter, down 0.1% in October from September, first monthly decline since May of 2020. YOY still up 5.9%, the lowest since November 2021. So again, the media are going to rub the Biden administration's shoulders. They're going to do everything they can to make sure this guy gets reelected in 2024. Well, the latest measure of the Consumer Price Index, CPI, showed that year-over-year inflation rose by 7.7%. But they're going to still push this whole narrative. They have to, you guys, because Joe Biden sucks at everything. The Democrats suck at everything, which I know I keep repeating, but it is still astonishing to me that Democrats still voted Democrat in the midterm elections. Sure, that's a case to be made of what Republicans are doing wrong, and maybe Trump needs to kind of zip it a little bit. I'm not saying that had the full effect on it, even though Trump's backing of certain politicians didn't help matters. But it just goes to show you that Democrats love crime. They love inflation. They can't complain about these things. If you know a Democrat that's complaining about gas prices but voted for a Democrat, they need to stop complaining. If they voted for a Democrat and they're going to complain about inflation, gas prices, the Russia-Ukraine invasion, whatever it may be, they don't have any room to complain about certain things if they're taking place in their cities or in the United States because they voted for it. They want this stuff. If they don't want their kids trans or all these things in the school district, indoctrination, CTR, whatever it may be, they shouldn't be complaining. But like I said, the media are going to spin all these things to support the Biden administration so they get reelected here in 2024. So-called core inflation, which excludes volatile energy and food prices, rose 6.3% year over year and 0.3% from September. The reporter was swiftly called out for excluding the price of shelter from his tweet. Of course, very reminiscent of Whoopi Goldberg of The View, saying that it was red states that had this mass crime surge and that's what we should really be looking at. But if you actually zoomed in on the statistics, if you actually zoomed in on the report itself, it was Democrat-ran cities that caused the increase in crime. But she doesn't want to zoom in on that because then cat's out of the bag, right? Everybody can see what they're doing, manipulating the data. But it's Democrats that love crime. It's Democrat-ran cities that have an increase in crime. In the same way, you got this reporter here spinning it. While the price of shelter was a significant contributor to inflation in October, the metric is included in calculations of core inflation. Excluding it provides a false picture of inflation, very similar of you excluding the fact that Democrat-ran cities were the leading cause of crime in red states. You're manipulating things. Quote, "This is quite the spin. I always appreciate people looking for a silver lining. That being said, the draw from shelter, energy, and food is forcing non-spending in other areas," another person pointed out. "Minus the three most important things people use every day, we're down an amount no one will be able to feel. Great news, everyone." People are just being sarcastic. "My batting average in high school was .925 if you exclude pop flies and groundouts." That's actually pretty good. Excluding food and shelter, so prices dropped on goods people buy with expendable income, likely because people have less so they had to. Not any positive indicator. How is it that a good thing other than cherry picking for political reasons? Kind of confusing there by what that person said, but getting their point across nonetheless. The crime rate is 0% if you exclude crime. That's the best one. You gotta save the best for last. Were there any improvements that actually took place in October, folks? Well, October inflation numbers are slightly better than most expert predictions, which is a change from what we've seen because the experts would predict something and then forgive me, that was from the first segment, the Biden administration would just beat whatever they predicted by making things worse, rather. He just completely shatters everybody's expectations in a negative way. Inflation in some areas decreased, airfare, apparel, used cars, but the improvements are only a mirage, according to Banktrick chief financial analyst Greg McBride. He says this: "If this constitutes improvement, we've set a very low bar. The pervasiveness of price increases remains problematic." I absolutely agree. A mirage in terms of you're not actually looking at the real change or what contributes to inflation as being an effect. Like, for example, if gas prices have gone down, you're still going to have mass inflation. You still have the grocery bills going up. You still have mortgage rates going up. You still have certain things going up that are attributing to what took place. The areas posting declines are, for the most part, either irregular or more discretionary in nature. Airfare, used cars, and apparel mean discretionary spending. Any meaningful relief for household budgets is still somewhere over the horizon. You have I keep saying Obama because that's the first segment. The Biden administration have these increase in gas prices, but because gas prices went from, say, just theoretically, $5 to $4.50, then they're saying, well, you saved 50 cents. Gas prices have gone down. You're saving 50 cents. You're not saving 50 cents because you're still spending more than what you were when the Biden administration came into office in the first place. So they try to manipulate and spin these stories to make it seem like they're doing something good for you, even though the very person that caused the burden upon you is trying to say that they relieve the burden that they put upon you. It's so head spinning. It's crazy. But Democrats are like, I know I'm repeating myself. They're all for it, you guys. If I had a Republican in office that was causing such damage to a state, you think that I would vote for that guy again? I would rather gamble on a Democrat for 2 years or more than a freaking terrible Republican that just sucks at his job. But that's what Democrats are willing to do. In our last story of the day, speaking of what Democrats are willing to do, like I said, folks, if you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, please do. Democrats are willing to defund the police. They're willing to push a narrative that police are racist. They're willing to push a narrative of police brutality. And as we've said over the course of years under the Trump administration, for that type of messaging coming from the Democrats, it's going to have massive consequences. And in this story, it absolutely does. Because a California County Sheriff's Office announced that it will stop its daytime police patrol due to a catastrophic staffing shortage throughout the agency. And it's not just this agency here. This is actually in areas around the United States. not necessarily stopping daytime police patrol, like just altogether, but they're having massive shortages all throughout the United States. All thanks to Democrats, all thanks to making cops seem racist or committing police brutality, whatever it may be, even though that's not true whatsoever. They're all just leaving. And as I said, when we even started the Bald Brad show when all this was going on, I said, why would you even want to be a cop anymore? Why would you want to take on that liability? You protect your life against some numbskull, and now all of a sudden you're being sued. You have the possibility of going to jail. You're in front of a jury, and they're going to convict you because of this narrative out there. They have this thing in this mind that you're a racist, whatever it may be. Why would you be a cop, and why would you put yourself and subject yourself through that? I wouldn't. And a lot of my friends are cops. My family members were cops. I wouldn't do it. You have Tehama County, which is located north of Sacramento and has a population of 65,000, will suspend daytime patrol services starting November 20th. Ending the patrols could prove dangerous considering the Red Bluff, the country's most populated city, has a violent crime rate higher than 97% of other U.S. cities. Oh, goody. The county's sheriff's office released a statement announcing the decision and noted, over the past several years, the sheriff's office has had difficulties with recruitment and retention of employees, which has been directly linked to pay disparities. A drastic rise in attrition coupled with the inability to present enticing recruitment efforts have resulted in an unprecedented staffing shortage. Yeah, okay, well, you got the pay in conjunction with, again, the narrative. I'm sure the narrative has a lot to play into it. You have Tehama County Jail is currently around 60% of its staffing capacity. Over the past year, the sheriff's office has lost 20 employees. Quote, obviously response times are going to be affected. Yeah, I would say so. That's why you want to be strapped, folks. Don't rely on the police officers. It's amazing to me that the Democrats want to sit there and remove your ability to protect yourself. They don't even want you to have a handgun. They don't want you to have like an assault weapon, whatever the hell that means. This is the time when you need one, especially in this county. Or if you're living in a Democrat-ran area, which I know wants to take away your guns, right? They don't want you to have a right to carry and all these things. Boy, oh boy, do you need one more than ever right now. And we've made the decision to limit, as we can, the dangers to public safety. But not having deputies on the streets obviously is not beneficial to the public. No way, shape, or form. They're there to protect and serve, folks. If you want to get rid of crime, you need more police. The California Highway Patrol will respond to life-threatening emergency calls in the county during the daytime hours. The sheriff's office no longer available. It's so messed up. That is so crazy. The sheriff's office will maintain patrol services during the nighttime hours, the sheriff's office statement noted. Deputies assigned to night shift patrol will triage and respond to open non-emergency calls for service that come in throughout the day. On November 7th, the County Deputy Sheriff's Association posted on Facebook that they had spoken with the county's board of supervisors for several years and warned them that staffing levels are too low. I wonder, I don't have any evidence of this. Maybe somebody can find it for us. I wonder if these county board supervisors, if they're Democrat or they're Republican. Again, we're talking about California here, so I'm sure we can make a leap in terms of conclusion, but I'd rather have the evidence first that they're probably Democrats. But if they're Republicans and they're not willing to fund the police department in order to make sure that their citizens, their constituents are protected, that is wrong, and those guys need to be ousted so quick. Rather than take swift and decisive action, they have delayed and allowed too many good employees to leave. The association also noted that the dispatch center and several housing units with the county jail have also been shut down because of ongoing staffing shortage. So this is something that's been going on time and time again. There's going to be more stuff that's going to come out, but the Board of Supervisors did not respond to requests for comment from Fox News Digital, as you'd expect, because everything's going down the drain in California. This is just one example of many of the destruction that's being done by the Democrat Party. And I've said time and time again, and as I'm going to continue to say for the next 2 years, the Democrats love crime. They love making sure illegal immigrants are being supported before our vets. They love to make sure that our southern border is not protected. So you got terrorists coming across, fentanyl, drug lords, all these things, the cartels coming through, violent gang members. They don't care about it, folks. They love it, which is why they will continue to vote blue. Don't let them sway your viewpoint. If they complain about anything, just go ask them, who'd you vote for? No complaint should be coming from their mouths because they voted for it, and they should bleep and sleep in their same bed. With that being said, folks, thank you so much for supporting the Bald Brad Show. Hit that like and subscribe button. I'll see you tomorrow here on the Bald Brad Show.